Yodelay hee. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here, a podcast where I, Matthew Bussey, watch and review sight and sound's top greatest movies of all time. You hear this? You hear that? You hear that? Yeah, those are the cords to this, these headphones that I'm wearing right now. Unbelievable. No, it's fine. I'm in a pretty good mood right now. This is coming out in March, but I am recording the very end of January. This has been a very interesting month. No drinking all month. It has been very weird. I think anytime I've gone to social events not drinking, I feel like Steve Carell and Bruce Almighty, when I won't do it because I'm going to blow out the mic, but that scene when he freaks out. That's kind of like me, like when I go up to talk to people in social events, so while not drinking. So, I don't know. Curious to see how February is. This is obviously coming out in March, so we shall see. Maybe I will be in jail. No, I don't know. No, I'm good. I'm all good. I'm good. I'm cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode. This is a very, I'm kind of looking forward to today. I say kind of because this is a very, very weird indie movie. It's a very weird indie character drama, creepy, bizarre, unique, weird, strange movie. Strange is the same as weird, but I cannot think of any other word. Peculiar. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the right word to say it. This is a very big indie. It's one of the last movies made by a very famous director named John Cassavetes. It is called Love Streams.
In love, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of me. In that, I'm not sure. Not sure of you. I'm not sure of love.
I'm almost not crazy now.
Sure of love.
I just don't care.
Well, love is dead. Love is a fantasy little girls have.
Love is a stream. It's continuous. It doesn't stop.
No, it does stop.
I mean, we've had experiences of the heart you couldn't even imagine. You're talking about a guy who held my hand in a hospital, who cried when his baby was born. Where were you?
You see, Judge, when someone is temporarily insane, like Jack here is, and he's a wonderful guy, but when someone is like that, they don't want to see the people that they really love. Okay, I understand that. A person who is sick has to get well before he can be normal, right?
I think Sarah is in trouble. Now, you can do what you want, but I'd like you to get her to see somebody if it's not me. Okay?
She's fine. Okay, Sarah. Sarah, you're one of the greatest people that I've ever met in my life. You gotta fight it. You're the best.
Tell you the truth, I You are the cutest guy I ever met.
I don't want you to go. I love you. You're the only one I love. Oh, shh.
And you guys, this movie was so ahead of its day. So it came out in 1985? No, I'm lying. 1984 it came out. And it's ahead of its day because the title, Love Streams, this is a movie about streaming. It's about streaming movies. No, I'm totally fucking with you. This is not about streaming. Streaming didn't exist, you dumbass. Dumbasses. No, it did not. And I'm kidding, you're not stupid. No, the title, and I do like this quote, the title of the movie is from a quote in the movie that I really like because it's very, very true. It is, the quote is, "Love is a stream. It's continuous. It doesn't stop." Yeah, it's true. So it's kind of a unique title. I like that. It kind of reminds me of that quote in Annie Hall where he says, you know, a relationship is like a shark. You know, it has to keep swimming forward or else it dies because sharks can't swim backwards unless they're in Deep Blue Sea, the movie Deep Blue Sea, because they have scientifically enlarged brains to try to defeat Alzheimer's. But that's a fictional movie. That won't happen. Love Streams, though. Wow, this is a bit of a head scratcher for me. Overall, I liked it. I liked it. I am still thinking about this movie. I saw this a while ago and I rewatched it, and I still don't totally understand kind of why it exists, you know, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but I don't know if this is really a movie for anyone except for maybe like diehard film enthusiasts, but I don't know. It's a very sad movie. It's a very miserable movie. You know, it's basically a movie about two characters who are completely pathetic, and I don't really know if we're supposed to really sympathize with them. You know, I don't really. I don't know. So this is a movie by John Cassavetes. This is one of his last movies that he did. He was an actor as well, and he plays the lead in this movie. He was in Rosemary. I almost just said Roman Polanski's Baby. He was in Rosemary's Baby. Oh, God, that is really wrong. I did not mean that. I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to hell. I did not mean that. That just slipped out. Rosemary's Baby, he was in. Great movie if you haven't seen it already. He passed away a few years after Love Streams came out. He was also married to Gena Rowlands, the old Allie in The Notebook. There's always Notebook references on this podcast. I'm not even like a big fan of that movie. I don't know why this keeps happening. Anyway, she's in the movie too. She was in like pretty much all of John Cassavetes' films. John Cassavetes is considered to be like the father of independent American cinema. So much so that at the Indie Spirit Awards, they actually have an award in his name, the John Cassavetes Award. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, he was huge. Critics loved his movies. This was only the second movie of his that I have seen. He did a movie called Faces, I think, way back in the day. He also did a movie called Husbands. He did a movie called A Woman Under the Influence, Minnie and Moskovitz. I've seen one of them. I cannot remember. I think I saw Husbands, and I remember feeling so uncomfortable because it is the most, like, what is it? Oh God. It's filmed like a documentary. Cinema Realite, is that what it's called? I cannot remember the goddamn word. Oh yeah, Cinema Verite. Cinema Verite. Cinema Verite basically is when a filmmaker is making a fictional film, but they film it like it is a documentary, so the camera jerks like freaking crazy. And this movie, I think it was Husbands, I remember actually, no, I lied. I think it was Faces. I'm sorry. It was a while ago. This was like, I think like high school days, actually. I remember, though, kind of not wanting to watch it again because it kind of made me sick. And I don't get sick. I love the handheld jerky ass movies, you know. But this is a director, though, who wants to get right up in people's faces and shake that camera so fast and get so close that you can see up their nose and down their throats and in their ears. Ew, I know. But yeah, he made really gritty movies. Gritty not in the sense that they're like brutal and violent, but just gritty and that the characters are so flawed and so damaged and depressed and messed up that you almost have I at least like have trouble watching them, you know? And it kind of goes back to, well, why was the movie made to be like, what is this movie for? Well, that's not fair to say, though, because movies can be made, not every movie has to be entertaining. Movies can be works of art, you know, and that's exactly what Cassavetes films are. So I don't know yet how I feel about him because I need to rewatch Faces. on an empty stomach, and I have to watch all of his other movies. Generally, I liked Love Streams. This is a very long movie. It's 2.5 hours long. It is also kind of unique in that it's not all, the cinematography is not all handheld. It is stilted and stagnant and steady. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of nice. I didn't really think about that, but it's an interesting movie. There's a lot of it's a realistic movie. It's an everyday movie it's a movie about everyday people. That's what I meant to say. And but there are also a lot of fantasy sequences in it. It doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't. It's not, if you're expecting like a Hollywood movie, drama. I don't think I'd recommend this. And it is very depressing overall. So did I love it? No. Did I enjoy it? No. Was I pleased to have seen it? Yes. It is a slow one. It is a very slow one. But I'm very, very perplexed in a good way. In a very good way. This is a very, very interesting work of art. And when I get into the plot, you may understand a little bit. I also didn't know this. It was based on a play by Ted Allen, and Ted Allen and Cassavetes actually wrote the screenplay for this movie. Another quick fact, John Cassavetes' son is Nick Cassavetes, and guess what? Notebook reference, 57 millionth one. Nick Cassavetes directed The Notebook, and John Cassavetes has another kid, Zahn Cassavetes, Xan, coolest name in the world, who directed a vampire movie called Kiss of the Damned, and it's the hottest movie of all time, and I freaking love it, and nobody saw it because it came out right after Twilight, so everybody was like, oh my god, no more vampires, please shut up, enough with the vampires, but this one was so good, and it was rated R, and it was so amazing, and nobody saw it. Go see it. Go, and if it's not available, call your senators and make it available. Anyway, there are no vampires in Love Streams, and there's no actual streams in the movie. It's a metaphor. But anyway, let's get started and talk about this very strange movie. Here we go.
Plot synopsis.
It is a love story between two people, Allie and no. Okay, Love Streams. Undergoing a messy divorce from a husband and daughter, tired of her continuously overwrought emotional states, Sarah Lawson, played by Gena Rowlands, visits her brother, Robert Harmon, played by John Cassavetes, real-life husband, an alcoholic playboy and writer who was in a tenuous relationship with Susan, a professional singer. Susan's played by Diane Abbott. Don't know her. Although he carefully avoids any real emotional commitment to anyone. So Robert is a total playboy, alcoholic, maniac, nihilistic, I don't want to say loser, but it kind of is the right. I know that's harsh, but it's pretty true. He needs some help. Robert is visited by his ex-wife, who forces him to take care of their 8-year-old son, Albie. Albie is played by this young actor named Jacob Shaw, who's got the most 80s haircut ever, and is really good in this movie, whom he has not seen since his birth for 24 hours. This was so weird. Yeah, so his ex-wife, one of his ex-lovers, he's got like a million, apparently had a kid, and it's just like, yeah, here, I need you to take care of him. And yeah. Albie is terrified by the hedonistic, decadent, womanizing world of his father and begs to be taken home following an overnight trip to Las Vegas filled with gambling and prostitutes. Robert is, kind of nice to his son, but is also awful to his son. He gives his son a beer. He gives his son, like, a cigarette. And his son obviously is not happy, and, but there's an interesting moment, too, where, I think Robert is really seeking sympathy and forgiveness from his son, but he just doesn't really know how to give it. Like, there's one moment when they're in Las Vegas where Robert comes in really apologetic and drunk, and, Albie's just like, I hate you, I want to go home, I want to see my mommy, and it's really sad, and Robert starts yelling at him, like, I didn't even want you, blah, 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 and then Robert gets on his knees and just drops his head in his son's lap and kind of is like trying not to cry. And it's a very weird but moving but very sad, twisted moment where you kind of go, oh my God, I think maybe there is some humanity in this guy. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, So Albie wants to go home. After dropping Albie off, Robert is beaten up by the boy's stepfather, after which Albie testifies his love for Robert. Okay, this scene was banana batshit crazy. So he drops Albie off at his mother's home. His mother is living in this gross house, like probably not in a good part of Hollywood. And Albie is like knocking on the door, and then Albie starts to slam his head on the door. It's a little boy we're talking about, and this is fake, I hope. But yeah, he starts banging his head on the door and starts bleeding, and the stepfather comes up, and this comes out, and the stepfather basically thinks, Robert did this, and he starts to beat the crap out of Robert. And Robert gets in his car, and Albie runs up to the car, and they're both bloody. They have blood all over their heads, their foreheads, and everything. And then Albie just goes, I love you, Dad. I love you. So yeah, it's a very weird relationship that he has with his son, and it's an even weirder relationship that he has with Sarah. First of all, I did not know that they were brother and sister. I thought they were lovers because they are so friggin' touchy in this movie. It is uncomfortable. It is like who was the brother and sister in Game of Thrones? Cersei and Jaime? Was that their names? I forget. There's no incest in this movie, but it is a little weird, and I don't know if I'm the only one to share this opinion, but they're just very touchy. There's something very off and kind of a little awkward about the way that they reenact with each other. I mean, like, they love each other. They're like pals, but it was kind of weird. So anyway, this happens. Robert flees the scene. He returns home to take care of his sister. And Sarah tries with some success to curb the, quote, nihilistic self-destruction of Robert's life and simultaneously deal with her own depression and divorce. So Sarah, don't forget, she is extremely, extremely depressed and a mess and is like fainting and, in public, and, her own daughter doesn't want to see her anymore, and she hates her husband, and so she's a mess. This is the most depressed brother and sister duo you will ever see in a movie. So they're both a complete mess. But she's trying to get her life back a little bit more than Robert is. So she goes out and she buys some farm animals in the hope he can give his love to them. Robert struggles between his intense desire to protect his sister and the challenge of accepting her freedom as the necessary cost of love. Finally, this scene was so weird. After a bizarre dream of being in an opera with her husband and daughter, Sarah feels ready to resume her life and possibly even get her family back, or not. Before Sarah walks away from the... Oh boy, I'm going to try not to laugh. Before Sarah walks away from the house in the middle of a storm as Robert looks on, he hallucinates that the dog she gave him has turned into a naked man. Robert laughs hysterically. The end.
Just something I can do. I mean, I'm the only person in the world that can do it, but just something that I could, something special, like cooking or...
Writing? You could do some poetry, write poetry?
No, poetry, I love it, but it's just so depressing. I always get so low. No, I don't think that's healthy. I don't even know what I'm talking about, just... Would love be considered an art?
Well, some people think so.
Well, you're a writer. You're always writing those books about sex. Maybe you could write one about love. I could help you with that.
Okay. We'll see how that works out.
I'll love you.
I love you.
I'm going to do this damn thing. I really am. I'm going to find balance. And I think you should do it too. I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to buy you a baby. Really. You really need some living thing that you could love, Robert, it could be just a little animal that you could take care of and kiss and
Please
sleep
don't.
with. And you'd be balanced. I'd be balanced.
Please.
And then I can go back to being obsessive about my family.
I think...
You know what Dad always said?
No, what did Dad always say?
For every problem, there is an answer. I'm not going to have coffee. I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to go right to bed. I'm going to get up at dawn. Okay? Good night, honey.
Yes, it's all about the dog. In my research for this movie, all everybody talks about is that goddamn last scene where the dog transforms into a naked man and then goes back into a dog. This isn't like special effects or anything. It's literally just a shot of a naked man and then it just cuts to the next shot and it's a dog again. And you can tell that it's, Robert just hallucinating this. What does it all mean? Okay, we'll get into that in a little bit. I also did not even know that this man was naked. I was so lost by the scene. When I first saw this movie, I did not even know that that was meant to be a hallucination. I thought that was just a random guy in the house. I thought it was like one of Sarah's dates or something. I was so confused. It took me in rewatching it to go, oh yeah, that was... some kind of hallucination. So, what is this whole movie about? It's about really messed up people. It's about forgiveness. It's about humanity, this hidden humanity in people, and it's about this very complex relationship between a brother and sister. And I think it's about how one of them tries to change their life for the better, while the other can't, and they kind of aren't good for each other in that sense, but yet they kind of are. It's very ambiguous at the end. You don't really know if Sarah, what she's doing is good for Robert, or good in the sense that it's going to, provoke him to go and change his life and stop drinking and stop being a little bitch. It's interesting. It is definitely interesting. Now, what does the dog mean at the end? I've thought about this a lot. I am a little bit confused with this. There's a line earlier in the movie where when Sarah goes to get the dog, she says, "Men are like dogs," And this hallucination happens at a pivotal point in the movie because, there is this massive tempest, oh, I never used that word, happening outside. And Sarah's trying to leave, and Robert just doesn't want her to leave because, he really just doesn't want to be alone. And then he hallucinates a dog, this animal that Sarah described as a man, turn into a naked man. So I think maybe I'm overthinking it. I think it's really just Robert being drunk, and it's just part of his depressed ego where this is what he thinks about men, That's kind of all I took. I did try my best to really analyze and interpret this. If you go on Reddit or IMDb comments, whatever, there are a lot of interpretations of the dog and the man and the dog and the man and the dog and the man and the naked man and what does the nakedness have to do with the dog? I keep saying interesting. It's unique though. It is unique. It's a very kind of surreal movie. The dream sequences that Sarah has are very out of this world, and I think they add to the theme of forgiveness and I think Sarah deep down, she has this like violent dream or hallucination, whatever, where she is in this car speeding after her husband, and then it's like slow motion and she crashes the car into her husband, and then she gets out of the car and discovers that it's her husband and her daughter dead under the car. But then in the next dream sequence, it's so weird. And it ends pretty funnily too. She is like, her daughter and her husband are at Robert's pool, and they're sitting down, and she's basically going, I'm gonna hurt you, you see? And she gets these like objects that look like they could hurt people, but they end up being like toys. They end up being like goofy, like objects you'd buy like, at a shop on the Jersey Shore or whatever, like on the boardwalk, like they're fake. And I was thinking about that. I was like, what is the meaning of that? And I think the real meaning is Sarah would never ever hurt her family. I think it also kind of relates to Albie not really hating his father at the end. There's no real hate in this movie. There's no real animosity. I think it's a movie that you watch closer and closer, and you really do see that these characters are messes, but they are good people overall. And Cassavetes does avoid the pitfall of ending a movie all happily and making it look like Robert is going to get his act together and be good, because, you know, depression, man, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. And it does bother me when, you know, some movies end it like, oh, it's all la 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 better now. It's not like that. But, you know, this also isn't trying to be, I think, an everyday, I keep saying everyday. What am I trying to think? This isn't trying to be a realistic film. It is and it isn't. It is and it isn't. You know, it's kind of like Cassavetes' land. It's Cassavetes' world. It's his own vision of really flawed characters looking to, you know, find a will to survive in this world because they just feel like they have nothing left. BTS Secrets and Scandals! So, yes, like I said, sadly, this was one of Cassavetes' last films that he did. Most of the film was filmed inside Cassavetes and Rowlands' real home. Interesting. Not surprised, because this was a very low-budget movie. Like I said, this movie was kind of surprising in that it had no handheld camera work, which was, you know, Cassavetes' trademark. Peter Bogdanovich, who was a very famous director, he did a movie called The Last Picture Show. He did What's Up, Doc? With Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal, R.I.P. Ryan O'Neal. He just died recently in January, I think. Peter Bogdanovich actually helped direct a few scenes because John Cassavetes was very sick. His health was in decline for this film, and this was his second to last movie. His last movie was not well received by critics. I forget what it was called. Not going to watch it. If it wasn't well received, not really going to see it. That's not totally true. You know, I may go on a Cassavetes binge someday, but, you know, I do kind of need to... Oh, my foot's asleep. Hold on. Ow. I do need to... I need to study him a little bit more. The original ending of this film had Sarah leaving Robert's house and him asking her to stay. The audience applauded because it seemed as though Robert was finally showing some real affection. But John Cassavetes felt this was letting the audience off the hook and too convenient and contrived an ending. So he recut it to the more ambiguous ending where Robert only looks sad as Sarah is leaving, and then he hallucinates that the dog she gave him has turned into a naked man and is smiling at him. I like that. I like that. You see, it's like I said, this is why I did like this movie, because it could have really ended so predictably, but instead Cassavetes is like, I want to make you guys feel uncomfortable. I'm going to end it with a naked man and a dog who are one and the same, and you got to interpret it. The best moment. It wasn't the dog moment, because I didn't even realize that until second viewing. I think my favorite moment is the dream sequence with the Sarah's husband and daughter, and she's, you know, like I said, trying to hurt them but can't. I also love it. I forgot to say this. It ends with Sarah doing a backflip on a diving board, and I don't know if it was really Gena Rowlands, but it is friggin' hilarious. Mais est-ce que je suis d'accord avec les critiques de ce film? Critics love the movie. I only found a few. A lot of them kind of all said the same thing, which was, it was great. So, you know, there's not really a lot to say with that. But Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times loved the movie. He said, "Love Streams is exasperating because we never know where we stand or what will happen next. I think that's one of its strengths. There's an exhilaration in this roller coaster ride through scenes that come out of nowhere." It's a frustrating thing. It is. It is frustrating, and it is exasperating. Same thing. I forgot to use that word. But I kind of agree with that. I think that's why this movie did stick with me for a while, because the whole movie, you're just kind of wondering, what is going on? What is going on? Why are they like this? You know? Like, you don't know how it's going to end, you know? Now, is that an exhilarating feeling? No, it's not really exhilarating. I don't think this is an exhilarating movie at all. Wouldn't call it a roller coaster ride. But it is a weird ride. It's a ride that makes the hair on your arms stand up because you think I don't know. Janet Maslin of the New York Times said, "There's no other American director who can do what John Cassavetes does on the screen." I think that's pretty true. Again, I've only seen one other Cassavetes film. I just honestly know him better as an actor from Rosemary's Baby. He was one of a kind, though. His style of film was one of a kind. What was his style of film? Very indie, very, very indie, very depressed, very dark dramas, with, you know, very minimal budgets and claustrophobic-y kind of settings. and shaky cameras. Dennis Schwartz of Dennis Schwartz Movie Reviews said highly emotional drama about love, loneliness, making a connection, and desire. All those things, I agree. It is about love. They both want love. It is about loneliness. They're both completely lonely. Robert has women with him all the time, but he is depressed as hell. Making a connection. Yeah, they both want to make a connection. They have a connection with each other, but they can't be with each other because they're brother and sister. And desire. This is where I kind of got a little creeped out by the movie. And I guess we're supposed to feel creeped out, but I do feel like there was this dark, weirdish, twisted kind of desire between them, but they're brother and sister. And yeah. We'll leave it there.
Is it really one of the best movies of all time?
For now, no. For now, I'm going to say no. I've thought about it for a while, and nope. I don't think so. It's just hard. I got to see more Cassavetes films, and then I can really make up my mind. But as its own, if Cassavetes wasn't, Cassavetes, and this was just its own film, a weird sleeper hit in the indie world or whatever, and critics just loved it. I don't know. I didn't really stay with me as much as I hoped it would. It was very long. It was just very dark. I didn't really care or connect with Sarah or Robert at all, even though I feel like, we are meant to kind of understand that they're pathetic, but, there is good in them deep down. I had trouble. I had a little bit of trouble with this movie. But, sometimes it's good for movies to give you trouble, make you feel troubled. And trouble can be good sometimes. So, yes. Love Streams. Check it out. Thank you all for tuning into this episode. I will end it by saying, get off your ass and go to the goddamn movies. I don't care if you have a pet or a dog or a cat. You can go to a movie for a few hours. It's not a big deal, okay? And if you're that paranoid, sneak the dog in. Just do that. And if it's a big dog, then, well, don't do that. But you know what I mean. Just come on. Just go to the movies. Please just go to the movies. Please, 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 please go to the movies. 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 And I'm spent. Adios. Buenas noches. Goodbye. Oh, you made it. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at I'm Reviewing Here. You can also subscribe on YouTube. New episodes drop there the same day they drop on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Please leave a review if you'd like. Be mean, be nice, hit on me. I don't really care. Candor really, really is important to me, and, it helps the podcast too. So I really hope you enjoyed it. This podcast is brought to you especially by Nervous Chuckles. That is my fake production company because I make people nervously chuckle all the time because they never know if I'm telling a joke or not. So they're always like, do I laugh? Do I not laugh? Is he serious? Is he insane? Did he get out of the loony? What's going on? So if I made you nervously chuckle, then that means that I did my job, and thank you. There is no funding for this podcast, but if you want to give me money, then, hit me up. DM me. Bye-bye.